What the hell have you done to me, Josh?
What? What have I done?
You've given me herpes.
Herpes? No, I haven't.
The doctor diagnosed it and it has to be you. I've got disgusting sores everywhere. They're all over my face, they've spread down below, I can't pee, I can't walk, I'm in agony.
It's not me. You must have been sleeping around.
What? Screw you, Josh. I have to live with this for the rest of my life. I'm diseased. You've ruined me forever. I'll never forgive you.
3 months later, Emma Matthews found herself standing on the edge of a subway platform, tears streaming down her face. Before her diagnosis, she'd felt in the prime of her life, 26 years old, confident, attractive, a loving boyfriend. Now, she was alone. Word had spread about her diagnosis as fast as the virus she'd been plagued with. Everyone knew. Cruel messages were splashed across her social media pages. She saw disgust and revulsion in the eyes of her friends and family. She felt dirty, diseased. She knew no man would ever want her again. How could they? She had herpes. She was tainted for life, and there was nothing she could do. In that second, Emma made her decision. She stepped closer to the platform edge, closed her eyes, and jumped. So why am I sharing this tragic story with you today? Well, because as it turns out, it's anything but tragic. Because not only did Emma miraculously survive, but after living with the herpes simplex virus for over 2 years, she succeeded in wiping out every single shred of the disease from her body quickly and permanently. Both the oral HSV-1 strain and the genital HSV-2 strain. And you can do it too. Because whatever you may have been told by your doctor, the drug companies, or the mainstream media, the herpes simplex virus is no longer an incurable STD. A fact which, as I'm about to reveal, has been deliberately kept from you by a corrupt and dishonest pharmaceutical industry hell-bent on profiting from your misery. So why has herpes been so difficult to cure up until now? Herpes works by invading healthy cells and taking control of them. It then replicates itself, attacks in numbers, and then retreats, hiding from the immune system, which allows it to remain in your body forever. But the good news is, that's no longer the case. Because thanks to a remarkable new discovery by scientists at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, coupled with a bizarre meeting of Special Forces soldiers in a sleepy fishing village on the edge of the Moroccan desert, you can now activate a newly discovered kill switch within the virus itself using a simple and completely natural homemade remedy, which will alter its DNA structure, prevent it from making copies of itself, and put it to sleep. And then unleash your immune system to find the virus, flush it out of hiding, and kill it dead. In fact, this cellular search and destroy mission is clinically proven to eliminate all of your painful and embarrassing symptoms in as little as 48 hours. And best of all, permanently cleanse your body of this horrible disease in as little as 19 days from today. I'm talking no more ugly cold sores breaking out in your lips ever again. No more painful sores and blisters down below. No more embarrassment, shame, and humiliation caused by the stigma of herpes. No more fear of infecting another human being or a sexual partner finding out that you're damaged goods. No more worrying about when or where an outbreak may occur, or dealing with the stress and inconvenience of having to hide your dirty little secret from the world. Nope, you don't need to worry about any of that ever again. And if you're one of those people who think, hey, I'm fine, thanks, I'll just take some antiviral drugs, then think again. Because today's expensive medications not only fail to kill the herpes virus, but can actually lead to potentially devastating complications. And I'll reveal how and why a little later, along with 3 frightening and little-known risks to your health if you choose to ignore this presentation and decide to just live with this disease instead. This pioneering treatment method, which effectively uncloaks the hiding herpes virus before wiping it out completely, is so new and so unconventional, I can almost guarantee that neither you nor your doctor will have heard about it before. It's already been used successfully and discreetly by 64,783 people and counting, including professional athletes, international business leaders, and Hollywood celebrities, people you know by name. And it is scientifically proven to work whether you're male or female, young or old, suffering from oral or genital herpes, or have been dealing with disease for days, months, years, or even decades. And the best part is, it's fast. 100% natural and completely safe. But before I reveal any more, it's important that you understand that this presentation may not be online much longer. So you need to take this opportunity to watch it now and until the very end, while you still have the chance. The herpes drug market is now a $5 billion industry and growing fast. And as I've discovered to my cost, these companies will stop at nothing to prevent this fast and natural treatment making it into the public domain. So if you want to eliminate the herpes virus from your body forever, types 1 and 2, and do it in as little as 19 days, then be sure to keep watching, because the secret lies in nothing more than these 3 simple ingredients enjoyed by the people of Morocco for centuries. Yep, 3 cheap, readily available, and delicious ingredients that you can pick up from your local grocery store today. In just a second, I'm going to reveal what these 3 ingredients are, as well as the bizarre story of how I came to stumble upon them. A discovery that has already changed the lives of tens of thousands of people across the world. People like Tony Rose, 19, of Blairsville, Georgia. After being infected with HSV-2 in her freshman year at college, Tony's confidence and her self-esteem was shattered. She became the butt of cruel jokes and was nicknamed Herps on campus. Any romantic interest in her all but disappeared. Unable to escape the stigma of herpes, she dropped out of college after only 8 months. 1 year later, and less than a month after discovering the program, Tony's now completely free of the herpes virus. She's since been accepted to another college and has started her life anew, free from the staring, name-calling, and humiliation of herpes. And then there's Tyrone Campbell, 51, of Seattle, Washington. Tyrone had been living with both forms of the virus for more than 30 years after his first sexual encounter at the age of 16. The disease would affect every relationship he ever had, bringing dozens to an abrupt end and leaving him so emotionally scarred, he remained single for 25 years. Tyrone thought he was too old to turn back the clock and escape the virus, but he was wrong. He too is now completely free of the herpes virus, both HSV-1 and 2, and his self-confidence is so high, he started dating again. Now, if you're a little skeptical about all of this, I completely understand, which is why in just a few minutes from now, I'm going to show you the scientific evidence which proves how the herpes simplex virus, both 1 and 2, can be completely destroyed in just 19 days, as well as the exact steps you need to take to do it yourself. But before we get to that, let me first introduce myself and explain why I decided to create this presentation. Hi, my name's Josh Parker, and although I'm ashamed to admit it, I'm the man who accidentally infected Emma with the herpes virus. To tell you a little bit about me, I'm a former Special Ops combat medic in the United States Army and a specialist in treating wounded soldiers in the field of battle. In fact, I've served 5 tours of duty across Iraq and Afghanistan. I've seen things that no person should ever have to see. Friends screaming for help after having their legs blown off by landmines. Women and children torn apart by suicide squads. I've performed countless surgeries under heavy gunfire where my emergency room wasn't in a hospital, but in a crumpled ruin, a rocky mountainside, or a patch of dirt in the desert. I'm telling you this because in fighting the Taliban and IS, I'm used to dealing with a cowardly enemy who prefers to lurk in the shadows, stay hidden, and strike when you least suspect it. And as a special ops soldier, I'm used to winning the battle. And that's exactly what I've done here. But before I reveal how, let me first tell you a quick story, because when you hear it, you'll understand why I've been so desperate to crush this terrible disease once and for all. It's an embarrassing story for both myself and Emma, but we've agreed to tell it so that no one else has to suffer the way we did. It all started more than 2 years ago when I met Emma at a charity fundraiser for veterans. She was there with her father, who'd fought in the first Gulf War. The second we met, sparks flew. She was beautiful, smart too, and funny, all the things I was looking for. But after just a couple of months, our blissful little bubble would burst in the cruelest way possible. I was at home in the kitchen when suddenly there was a loud bang on the door. I opened it to find Emma standing there with red blisters and sores all over her face. Her eyes were bright red and filled with tears. A second later, she slapped me around the face with such force, she cut me above my left eye.
You've given me herpes.
I was shocked. I literally had no idea what she was talking about. After she'd calmed down, Emma told me the reason why she hadn't been around for a couple of weeks, and it sounded like hell. Apparently, a few days after we'd slept together, she said she'd noticed a cold sore come up on her top lip. It made her feel self-conscious, So she decided to stay in for a few days until it scabbed over and healed. The problem was, the next day her face was covered in dozens of ugly-looking red sores, and a few days after that, she started to feel unbearable pain downstairs. She said it was like someone was stabbing her in the crotch while giving her rug burn while pouring acid over the top. The following day, she spotted a couple of little sores down there. She freaked out and went to see her doctor, who did an STD test. A few days later, and the tests came back. She had oral and genital herpes. Yeah, both at the same time. Imagine that. So trust me, if you ever get cold sores and you think you're protected from genital herpes, think again. Because you can have oral and genital herpes caused by the same type of herpes virus at the same time. And having one doesn't protect you against the other. Emma was convinced that I must have given the disease to her, but as far as I knew, I was clean. But she swore to me that she hadn't slept with anyone else. So I agreed to get tested. And that's when I discovered the devastating truth. I had herpes too. I'd given the woman I'd loved a sexually transmitted disease. So you're probably wondering, how didn't I know I had it? Well, here's the thing. Herpes doesn't always show itself. Remember, it likes to hide. And it's the best virus there is at doing it. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, many people with herpes don't show any symptoms, so they'll have no idea they even have it. This is why the disease is spread so easily. So believe me, if you have herpes type 1 or 2, it's not your fault. You're not to blame, because the person who gave it to you may not have even known they had it themselves. But of course, at the time, that meant nothing to me. Emma had herpes, and it was me who'd given it to her. I felt guilt like you can't imagine, especially when Emma's symptoms continued to get worse. For weeks, she suffered from pus-filled blisters on her lip, a raging, burning sensation down below, and pain and discomfort with every step. But that wasn't the worst part. Not even close. Because although the physical pain of herpes felt like torture to Emma, the emotional pain would become even worse after word of her diagnosis spread. People from our hometown started leaving disgusting messages on her Facebook page and posting sick jokes on Twitter, which left her crying for days. Emma's parents seemed embarrassed and ashamed of their own daughter, and lifelong friends started behaving differently around her. Over time, they stopped calling. The invitations to nights out and parties dried up. It was like she had leprosy. People were frightened that if they touched her, they'd catch it. So what did she do about it? Well, listen to this, because it will make you mad. Like most of us, Emma listened to the advice of her doctor, who couldn't wait to get her onto expensive meds. The doc started her on Zovirax and later Famvir. But here's why I advise you to steer well clear of these toxic drugs. Firstly, the side effects were almost as bad as the STD itself. Emma suffered from headaches, fatigue, stomach pain, diarrhea, and frequent vomiting. So the doc switched her to Valtrex. But not long after, she began to complain about a dull pain in her lower back, which we later realized was due to her kidneys breaking down. That's because Valtrex has been shown to affect kidney function and cause renal toxicity and kidney failure in previously healthy people. According to a 2016 study into the drug and its effect on the kidneys, scientists discovered that the renal function of healthy human subjects was damaged as quickly as 12 to 48 hours after the drug was administered. But of course, that doesn't stop Big Pharma profiting from these dangerous drugs. Despite there being a natural and inexpensive way to kill the virus with nothing but 3 simple ingredients, which I'm going to reveal in just a second. But if you thought all that was pretty bad, get this. The drugs Emma was prescribed didn't even stop the breakouts. Nope, the virus just kept on coming back again and again. And why did this continually happen? Because if you didn't already know, not a single one of the drugs is able to kill the herpes virus or even prevent the spread of the disease to other people. In fact, a study published in the Lancet Journal found that even when patients were put on the highest doses of these drugs, not only did the virus survive, but the rate of breakouts remained unchanged with approximately 16 to 20 incidences each year. Incredible, right? We're talking about a $4.8 billion market for drugs that don't work and never have. All these drugs can do is treat the symptoms. They never attempt to get to the root cause of the virus in order to actually kill it and stop it from coming back, because that would destroy Big Pharma's dirty little income stream overnight. But these meds at least suppress the virus, right? And get rid of the symptoms a little faster. Sure, for now, in some people. But multiple studies are now showing that the herpes virus is becoming increasingly resistant to today's drugs, meaning they will soon stop working altogether, which is exactly what happened to Emma. The attacks became more and more severe and painful, took far longer to heal, and began to cover larger areas of her body. Now, of course, I understand that Emma's case was severe, and your symptoms and number of outbreaks might be a lot less. But if you're happy to carry on living with the herpes virus inside your body and choose to ignore what I'm about to show you, you'll be putting your health at serious risk. And for 3 reasons. A recent study in Sweden found that people with herpes are twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's, with more than 30 experts now in agreement that the herpes virus is one of the major causes of dementia. The type 1 herpes simplex virus, which results in cold sores, is also proven to cause eye herpes or ocular herpes. This is a common and recurring viral infection of the cornea that can lead to scarring, vision loss, and blindness. To illustrate how serious this risk is, a massive 50,000 new and recurring cases are reported every year, according to the National Eye Institute. So think about that the next time you rub your eyes. And if that wasn't worrying enough, the CDC states that the herpes virus can be passed from mother to child during pregnancy, childbirth, or even as a newborn, which can lead to brain damage, blindness, or even death. With Emma struggling to come to terms with her diagnosis, we eventually split up, and I agreed to give Emma some space. I heard nothing from her for months, until I got a phone call that made my blood run cold. It was from her brother James, who I still kept in contact with. Apparently, Emma had sunk into a deep depression and had become isolated and withdrawn. James said how it seemed like the light in her head had been turned off. She was no longer the happy, bubbly, fun-loving sister he knew and loved. This was made worse when a few months after we'd split, Emma met a guy who she'd fell hard for. She knew she had to be truthful about her STD before things went any further. So after a few dates, she plucked up the courage to tell him, and then watched the look in his eyes change. She didn't hear from him again. The next morning, on the way to work, Emma was standing on the edge of the subway platform. A man standing beside her had noticed how upset she looked, and how she kept creeping closer and closer to the platform edge. He tried to talk to her, but Emma ignored him, keeping her eyes fixed firmly on the tracks. The man had a bad feeling in his stomach and decided to inch closer to this pretty young girl with sadness in her eyes. As the train hurtled through the station, Emma suddenly jumped. Anticipating what might happen, the man was able to grab her arm just in time, pulling her to safety as the pair of them collapsed in a heap on the platform as the subway train thundered by. When James told me this, I felt sick, and the stress of it all led to my own breakout. A painful group of blisters filled with yellow pus appeared on my top lip, and I was ashamed to show my face for weeks. My own herpes virus had finally come out of hiding. Like Emma, I believed what the doctors told me, and all I could do was to try to lessen the symptoms with expensive drugs. I was resigned to the fact that both of us would be stuck with this disease for the rest of our lives, and there was nothing we could do to change it. Or so I thought. I'm a devout Christian, and although I no longer saw Emma, I still prayed to God to look after her. And at the beginning of 2017, I think he finally heard me. Not that I knew it at the time. I received a call from Special Ops Command telling me I was to be part of Operation Flintlock, a joint military training exercise between Special Ops forces from the US and Moroccan armies. The training camp was designed to combat extremist organizations, and our base was a small fishing village called Tifnit in the south of Morocco, with more than 2,000 military personnel from 24 African and Western countries. I was expecting a routine training camp, but little did I know that Operation Flintlock would unlock the secret to eradicating the herpes virus forever, and in the most bizarre way you can imagine. Now, I won't go into too much detail, but let's just say that when you have 2,000 people cooped up together in a month-long training camp, men and women, things can get a little, frisky, shall I say. Not me, might I add. I was a good boy, I promise. Anyway, as I was the medic at camp, At the beginning of the third week, an American soldier came to me with a problem. He had a cold sore, and he'd noticed an issue down below. After my own experience, I recognized it as herpes straight away. He was freaked out, but all I could do was give him some Tylenol to ease the pain and told him to scrub his hands regularly to avoid passing on the virus. And that was that. Until later that day, when an African woman, a translator, came to see me with the exact same problem. Over the next few days, another 19 men and 27 women reported the same symptoms, either oral herpes, genital herpes, or both. I couldn't believe what was happening. It was spreading around the camp like a plague, but I soon noticed something unusual about those infected. None of the Moroccan men or women had reported any symptoms. It was only the Americans and some of the other Africans. And with Emma still in the back of my mind, not to mention my own history with the disease, I was determined to find out why. I started to ask some questions around camp, and soon discovered that the Moroccan units always prepared their own food and always ate together. Was it just a coincidence? Or could the food they were eating be protecting them from the herpes virus and essentially making them immune to the disease? My theory was supported when that very night I did some digging online and found that the impact of genital herpes in Morocco was lower than anywhere else in the world. The next day, I visited the chef who prepared all the Moroccan army's meals and asked him for a list of every ingredient he used and every meal he cooked, jotting it all down in my notebook. The minute I returned home to the US, I began delving deeper into the herpes virus again. I poured through medical journals, scientific studies, and anything else I could find, desperately searching for any kind of link between the herpes virus and these strange Moroccan foods. And that's when I finally realized what had been happening. A few years ago, scientists discovered that the reason the herpes simplex virus couldn't be cured was because of something called transcription, which essentially means the virus is able to invade the host cells and take control of it, which then allows it to hide within your nervous system, evading your body's natural immune defenses. Undetected, the herpes virus is then free to invade other cells and make copies of itself, and on it goes. Imagine a Taliban or IS soldier killing a US soldier and then slipping into his uniform. He can then hide in plain sight within the army ranks and then kill again, and do this over and over. That's essentially what's happening with the herpes virus inside your body. And when they attack, which causes a herpes outbreak, they retreat back into hiding again, until next time. But get this, back in 2014, a team led by Thomas Christie, a chief of molecular genetics at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, uncovered a startling breakthrough. They discovered that a drug called tranylcypromine, or TCP, could block a protein called LSD1, the exact protein that herpes exploits to kickstart transcription. According to the study, blocking this protein forced the virus to remain in a latent stage, preventing its reactivation. This was amazing news. It meant that instead of relying on antiviral drugs, which only work to reduce the symptoms after the virus has replicated itself billions of times and caused an outbreak, it would now be possible to stop the virus replicating at all. In short, they'd found a kill switch, a way to turn off the gene that the herpes virus needed to thrive and spread. This ability to turn genes on and off is known as epigenetic therapy, but there was a problem. Tranylcypromine wasn't licensed for herpes or even safe to use. Common side effects included hives, difficulty breathing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, and throat, headaches, vision problems, tightness in the chest, vomiting, dizziness, tremors, and much more. But get this, tucked away in the pages of an obscure medical journal, I found a little-known study that took place at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine back in 2014. During the study, researchers had found that 3 completely natural ingredients, resveratrol, curcumin, and quercetin, displayed a potent inhibitory effect on LSD1 activity. But even more incredibly, the study reported that these 3 ingredients were found to be more potent than the known LSD1 inhibitor, tranylcypromine, or TCP. I couldn't believe it. The TCP drug was scientifically proven to block the LSD1 protein, which stopped the herpes virus from replicating, put it to sleep, and prevented it from reactivating. And now this study, from one of the most esteemed medical colleges in the world, was saying that 3 completely natural ingredients, curcumin, quercetin, and resveratrol, were more potent than TCP at blocking the LSD1 protein. And that's when it finally hit me. The ingredients in the Moroccan soldiers' meals were packed full of curcumin, quercetin, and resveratrol. I mean, they were absolutely loaded with them. Was this why none of the Moroccan soldiers contracted herpes? Excited, I started looking deeper into the ingredients. I discovered that the first one, curcumin, is the primary compound in turmeric. And as I studied the chef's recipes, turmeric was in practically every meal that he had prepared for the Moroccan soldiers. In fact, turmeric has been an essential staple in Moroccan cuisine for centuries, which may explain their low rate of herpes and the soldiers' apparent immunity. A study published in the medical journal Virology, for example, found that curcumin prevents the replication of the herpes virus by inhibiting the activity of its viral protein and preventing genes from promoting the virus's replication and ability to infect. Another study I found said that curcumin has remarkable antiviral effects on HSV-1, while another reported that curcumin reduced HSV-2 activity by a whopping 50%. I then started delving into the second ingredient, quercetin, a powerful antiviral found in red onions, raisins, tomatoes, olive oil, and peppers, staples of Morocco's national dish, couscous. Countless studies have demonstrated quercetin's antiviral effect against both oral and genital herpes. Quercetin extracted from apples, for example, has been shown to inhibit both HSV-1 and HSV-2 replication by greater than 50%, while a study in India found that quercetin has virucidal properties. In other words, it kills both HSV-1 and HSV-2 viruses. And finally, there was the third ingredient, resveratrol, a disease-defying polyphenol found in huge quantities in red grapes, and as a result, red wine, which the Moroccan soldiers drank every night with their meals. In fact, red wine is so popular in Morocco, it makes up over 75% of the country's production, with the traditional red grapes used being some of the most potent sources of resveratrol you'll find anywhere in the world. How important is this? Very! A study carried out at the Indian Council of Medical Research reported that resveratrol was able to prevent replication of HSV-1 and HSV-2 by blocking activation of the inflammatory transcription factor protein. Once again, this was proof that we could block the protein that the herpes virus uses to kickstart transcription, take over healthy human cells, and then make copies of itself, without the need for doctors or drugs. It all finally made sense. These three ingredients were the key to eradicating herpes. But why hadn't any doctor told me about this before? Why wasn't it on the news? Why wasn't the American Herpes Foundation, the organization that claims to be dedicated to improving the management of herpes virus infections, shouting this from the rooftops? And then I figured out the answer. Money. Yeah? Guess who the two biggest funders of the American Herpes Foundation are? GlaxoSmithKline, who manufacture Valtrex and Zovirex, and Novartis Pharmaceuticals, who manufacture Famvir. Two multinational drug giants who collectively pocket billions selling useless herpes meds to the American people. It was now crystal clear to me that this research had been buried. It was never going to see the light of day, at least not until those companies had used it to create an expensive, marketable drug. And as I discovered, the average time it takes to get any drug from the lab to the medicine cabinet is 12 years. These studies had only been completed in 2014. There was absolutely no way Big Pharma were about to let a completely natural treatment get out to the public because it would destroy their $4.8 billion herpes market overnight. Naturally, I was angry. Disgusted even. After all, the people we rely on to make us healthy were only interested in profiting from our pain and misery, when there was an undeniable scientific proof that 3 safe and 100% natural ingredients could crush the herpes virus. But if you think you can simply start gorging yourself on these 3 ingredients and your herpes will disappear, think again, because that's only half the story. You see, I soon realized that getting curcumin, quercetin, and resveratrol into my diet regularly and in the right amounts was impossible. I had no idea what I was doing. The meals I created were disgusting, and I didn't have the first idea whether they were even working. I also knew that although these ingredients were amazing at preventing HSV-1 and HSV-2 from replicating and spreading, the virus would still be alive in my body, and Emma's. That wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to wipe it out and kill it dead so it never came back. But I didn't know how. I needed help. And I got it in the shape of Charles Ellis, a lifelong friend, scientist, and specialist in germ warfare with more than 20 years' experience, who was now working as an independent medical researcher at Harvard University. As it turned out, Charles had a personal interest in the disease. His own son had been diagnosed with HSV-2 3 years before, and he was just as desperate for a cure as I was. I explained all about my discovery and the research I'd found into the LSD1 protein, and excited by the prospect, Charles agreed to help me. He was as generous as I could have hoped, but with no official funding in place, it took all of my savings to fund a private 6-month research study, which he carried out in a state-of-the-art laboratory in the basement of his home. Charles took all of my research and began testing and trialing the 3 ingredients on mice in an attempt to create the perfect natural formula for blocking the LSD1 protein. But he was convinced he could go much further. So he began experimenting with hundreds of other natural antivirals too, including herbs, spices, vitamins, minerals, polyphenols, and other compounds in an attempt to make the formula even more powerful. He eventually settled on a small selection of natural foodstuffs, which included a blend of ingredients which, in a study at Southern California University, eliminated all herpes virus symptoms in 87% of participants within 6 days. A breakfast time staple that outperforms Zovirex by a massive 59% when it came to the healing time of genital sores, according to a study published in the journal Medical Science Monitor. An everyday cooking ingredient which, when tested by researchers at Brigham Young University Department of Microbiology, was found to destroy the herpes virus on contact, killing 90% of it within 30 minutes of applying it to a laboratory dish. But even better news was to come. Although Charles had used my research to develop the ultimate natural formula for uncloaking the herpes virus, putting it to sleep, and preventing it from replicating, it wasn't dead. If we really wanted to kill the virus and cleanse the body of the disease completely, there was one more thing we needed to do. We needed to supercharge the immune system and arm it with the weapons it needed to flush out the sleeping virus and wipe it out permanently, so it never came back. So over the next few months, we went to work on the final stage of the plan. Eventually, Charles's research unearthed a treasure trove of the most powerful immunity boosters on the planet, including a popular drink which, when consumed for just 2 weeks, produced 10 times more virus-fighting interferons in the blood than a placebo, according to a Harvard study, and a naturally occurring hormone found in certain fatty foods that saw dramatic improvements in all markers of immune function, including a 37% increase in natural killer cells, according to a 20-week study at the University of California in San Diego. Using all of this cutting-edge research, Charles and I spent months developing a sophisticated 2-part search and destroy protocol. And to make it as easy as possible to follow, the protocol consisted of delicious, all-American smoothies. What's more, Charles had designed it so that you only needed to drink 1 smoothie each day. It was that simple. Phase 1. The search phase was a 7-day smoothie protocol, all of them clinically proven to block the LSD1 protein, stop it replicating, and effectively unmask the virus so it can no longer hide from the immune system. And Phase 2. The destroy phase, a 21-day protocol designed to unleash the full force of the body's immune system and wipe out the virus permanently. As you can see, Charles's protocol went way beyond my initial research into the Moroccan diet sparked by Operation Flintlock. In fact, thanks to his expertise and dedication, the final smoothies we created were up to 17 times more powerful than the meals consumed by the Moroccan soldiers, who had been virtually immune to the herpes virus. It was clear that nothing like this had ever been attempted before, and I was desperate to put the smoothie recipes to the test. Of course, I was the obvious candidate to be the human guinea pig. But the problem was, I was busy training junior medical assistants, and there was no way I was going to be able to stick to the protocol, while Charles's son was away at college. With no time to waste, I thought of one person, Emma. By this stage, we hadn't been in contact for over 2 years. So when I called her and told her what I'd been doing, she thought I was crazy. It took a lot of persuading to convince her to give the protocol a try, but eventually she did, and agreed to meet with Charles on a daily basis to monitor her progress. The next morning, fully armed with the smoothie recipes, Emma took a trip to her local grocery store to pick up all the ingredients she needed and began phase 1, the search phase. Just a few days before, she'd suffered another outbreak, so it was the perfect time to test out the protocol. After 5 days of drinking the smoothies, the cold sore on her lip had dried up and disappeared. Emma was excited at how quickly it had worked, so Charles performed a PCR blood test and a cell culture to see if the virus was still alive. The results weren't good. The virus was still present. After day 9, 2 days after the phase 2 smoothie recipes had begun, he repeated the test. And again, it was bad news. Emma was seriously starting to doubt everything I'd told her. But Charles warned her not to give up, that the formula was working, but it would take time to clear the body. At this point, she was more skeptical than ever. But then, on day 21, something remarkable happened. And it's a moment I'll never forget. I'd returned from my training course and was at home alone, dozing on my armchair, when suddenly there was a loud knock at the door that jolted me awake. I opened it to find Emma standing there in floods of tears, just as she'd been 2 years before. But this time, they weren't tears of anger or sadness. They were tears of joy. Barely able to catch her breath, she excitedly explained that earlier that week, Charles had performed another PCR blood test and cell culture. And the results had just come back. They were negative. She was actually free and clear of the herpes virus. Emma's face lit up as she told me the news. She gave me the biggest hug and then planted a kiss right on my lips. And if you're thinking that it could have been a false negative, yeah, I thought that too. And so did Charles. Which is why he performed the tests over and over again for the next 8 weeks. And every time, they came back negative. From that moment on, the breakouts stopped completely. And the improvement in Emma's confidence, self-esteem, and enjoyment of life was dramatic and a joy to see. Instead of staying in every night like she was trapped in some kind of infectious quarantine, she started going out again, meeting friends, and living life. Rather than being constantly depressed, she was full of hope and excitement. And for the first time in years, she felt attractive, sexy, and desirable, and had the confidence to start dating again without the worry of where it might go, or the awkward, "I've got herpes" conversation she'd inevitably have to have. Of course, during those weeks, I followed the protocol myself, and so did Charles' son, and both of us were able to blitz the herpes virus completely. I was shocked at what we'd achieved. I couldn't wait to share this protocol with the world. But like any good scientist, Charles wanted to disprove the results. 3 people isn't enough, he said. And he was right. I needed to know if this was just some kind of fluke. So I created a private website and then visited herpes forums and support groups, inviting anyone with HSV 1 or 2 to put the protocol to the test themselves. In 6 days, I had 278 volunteers practically begging me to take part in the trial. The results? Well, they completely blew me away. Without exception, all 278 volunteers reported dramatic improvements in their symptoms. Healing times of cold sores, blisters, and sores were slashed by days, if not weeks. Embarrassing and painful symptoms disappeared as if time had been sped up, and the virus was eliminated in blood tests and cell cultures in every single volunteer. And in as little as 19 days in one patient, right up to the last volunteer, who tested negative in just 26 days. Charles could barely believe it, and checked and rechecked the results over and over. Most scientists are thrilled if they see positive changes in 70 to 80% of patients. But we had achieved a 100% success rate, and faster than we could have ever imagined. I received emails and phone calls from not only right across America, but from England, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Men and women as young as 16 to as old as 83 who were desperate to share their success stories and thank me for what I'd done. At that moment, I knew we couldn't keep the protocol under wraps any longer. And I haven't. After seeing the effect that the herpes virus had on Emma, not to mention myself, I've made it my life's mission to ensure that no one else has to suffer at the hands of this cruel disease ever again. With Charles's help, I've created a clinically proven and all-natural protocol that will allow you to wipe out the herpes virus from your body safely, permanently, and with the speed and precision of a military airstrike. And do it in as little as 19 days. And in keeping with my military background, I've called it the Herpes Blitz Protocol. Instead of merely treating the symptoms of HSV 1 and 2, This unique and pioneering epigenetic protocol actually kills the virus dead by disrupting its DNA string, unmasking it, and then obliterating it for good. This completely natural home remedy has already transformed the lives of 64,783 people and will achieve the same spectacular results for you too. But before I reveal exactly what you're going to get inside the Herpes Blitz protocol, have a listen to what Lena had to say.
Hi, my name is Lena Franks. I'm 33 years old, I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I am a high school teacher. What made me try Herpes Blitz protocol? Yes, the embarrassing question. I got the biggest, most disgusting cold sore on my lip. It was pretty gross. I just wanted to stay inside and hide all day, you know? But the kids, they were nearing exams and I didn't want to let them down. Makeup wouldn't cover it, and besides putting a paper bag over my head, there wasn't really much I could do. So I went in. And the kids, they were cruel. They called me names like Filthy Franks and Gremlin, because apparently you can't let me out in the daytime. After a while, the sores would go down, but about a month later I would have a breakout again, and I would have to deal with it all over again. The symptoms, the name calling, everything. Yeah, the gift that keeps on giving, right? So that's why I decided to try it. Did it work? Yeah, it worked. It worked amazingly well. It's gone. The symptoms, the virus, I've had like 9 tests and they all came back negative. And it took what, like 3 weeks? It was so much easier than I imagined. I'm not good in the kitchen. I mean, I'll cook, but I don't really have the time for it. But it was so easy. The recipes had so much texture and flavor, which was fantastic, and they all tasted so good. Yes, I would recommend it. I'd have absolutely no hesitation recommending it. I would say just do it. You can get rid of herpes forever, so why wouldn't you?
Okay, so what exactly are you going to receive inside the Herpes Blitz protocol? Well, first of all, you will get everything you need to know about the protocol, including the wonder of epigenetic therapy and how you can use it to turn off the gene that allows herpes to thrive and spread. The breakthrough clinical studies into the LSD1 protein, the key to the kill switch. The 3 Moroccan ingredients that inspired our research, curcumin, quercetin, and resveratrol, and the secrets behind their extraordinary antiviral qualities. All of the other simple and delicious natural ingredients clinically proven to stun the herpes virus into submission, flush it from the body, and kill it dead in as little as 19 days. But that's not even the best part. Inside the guide, you will also receive the silver bullet itself, the Herpes Blitz 28-day protocol, which begins with phase 1, the search phase. Here, you will be given smoothie recipes for a full 7 days, meticulously designed by Charles Ellis, myself, and a team of certified nutritionists. And you only need to drink 1 per day, so it couldn't be easier to follow and stick to. These delicious smoothie recipes are clinically proven to block the LSD1 protein, stop the virus from replicating, and effectively draw it out of hiding in preparation for phase 2. What's more, each ingredient in every recipe has been weighed and measured to the nearest gram, ensuring you receive the precise quantities and combinations needed to produce the exact same results seen in our patient trials. Once you've completed the search phase, where you disarm the herpes virus and put it to sleep, it's then time to move on to phase 2, the destroy phase. This 21-day protocol will arm your immune system with all the weapons it needs to wipe out the herpes virus once and for all. And again, you only need to drink 1 smoothie each day. It's that easy. And the delicious twist is that the ingredients in these smoothies will not only blitz your herpes, they're also beneficial to your brain, heart, waistline, energy levels, and much more. So you'll also be improving your overall health and vitality at the same time. Oh, and if you're thinking that these ingredients might be difficult to get a hold of, think again. While the inspiration for the protocol came from Morocco, you don't need to set foot outside your hometown. That's because every single ingredient included in the protocol can be picked up from your local grocery store for little more than a few cents. So as you can see, the protocol is super simple to follow, needs just a few minutes each day, and barely requires you to do any thinking at all. Everything is done for you. So the next question you're probably asking is this: how much is the Herpes Blitz protocol? Well, before I answer that, let me ask you something. How much is being free of herpes worth to you? Whatever figure you have in mind, you know as well as I do that taking action today in freeing yourself from the stigma, pain, discomfort, and emotional misery of herpes will be one of the best investments you could ever make. By doing nothing, on the other hand, you'll inevitably be forced to spend many thousands of dollars on antiviral drugs in a futile attempt to keep the virus at bay. According to the Herpes and Cold Sore Information Network, 12 months of suppressive therapy with Zovirax will cost an estimated $1,624. For Famvir, it's a whopping $4,200. And for Valtrex, it's even more, at $4,350. And that's per year. And even if you only take an antiviral each time you have a breakout, you're still looking at many thousands of dollars over your lifetime. That's a lot of money to waste. And of course, all of these drugs come with the risk of crippling side effects, including kidney failure. And for what? You still have herpes and always will. Because don't forget, none of these drugs are capable of killing the herpes simplex virus, meaning it will remain in your body forever, waiting to rear its ugly head at any point. It could be a job interview, a date, a birthday party, a wedding. It can strike at any time. I'm not trying to scare you here, I'm just telling like it is. Because the truth is, the virus will come back. I guarantee you that. And remember, by doing nothing and allowing it to survive and thrive inside your body, you'll be playing fast and loose with your health, dramatically increasing your chances of ocular herpes for one, and if you're a pregnant woman, passing on the virus to your unborn child, which could prove fatal. And of course, increasing your risk of Alzheimer's. This is the very real and frankly terrifying future that awaits you should you decide to walk away and just live with this disease. So let me ask you again, how much would you pay to destroy herpes completely, free yourself from the disease forever, and do it in as little as 19 days? Well, let me tell you that Charles Ellis has recommended that the Herpes Blitz protocol be priced at an absolute minimum of $997. And many of our 64,000 customers have already made it clear that they would have happily paid triple that after seeing the results for themselves. But I'm not going to charge you anything like that kind of money, and there are 3 reasons why. Firstly, I've made it my mission to liberate 1 million people from the herpes virus inside the next 12 months. And there's no way I'll ever be able to do that if I price the majority of people out. Secondly, the last thing on my mind when I embarked on this journey was making money. And that's certainly not my motivation now. And thirdly, I made a promise to a very special lady in my life, Emma. You see, Emma and I are back together. In fact, we're engaged to be married next year. And after her own experiences, she told me in no uncertain terms that she wants absolutely anyone who's been affected by this horrible disease to be able to get a hold of it. End of discussion. So here's the deal. You're not going to have to pay $997 today, or $497, or even $197 for that matter. Instead, when you click on the order button right now, you can pick up the Herpes Blitz protocol for the tiny one-time only payment you see below. To get started and begin your journey to becoming herpes-free, hit the button below. Now, if you're a little skeptical about whether this protocol can work for you, I totally understand. To prove to you that this protocol works and you have absolutely nothing to worry about, I'm going to give you a 60-day, risk-free, money-back guarantee. If you don't experience a dramatic improvement in your symptoms, and any blood tests and cell cultures you have don't confirm that the virus has been killed, then all you need to do is email me at the address provided in the members area, and I will refund every cent of your investment with no questions asked and no hard feelings. Heck, if you change your mind for any reason at all, I'll still give you your money back. And I'll even let you keep the entire program, just to say thanks for taking action and for having faith in both me and my program. I can't say fairer than that, right? To get started and put the Herpes Blitz protocol to the test risk-free for a full 60 days, hit the button below. But I'm still not finished. I've managed to pull some strings to make sure you achieve the best results possible, as quickly as possible. So when you order today, you're also going to receive 2 special bonuses, absolutely free. The first is called the Immune Protection Protocol. Although the Herpes Blitz protocol is all you need to destroy the herpes virus, maintaining a strong and efficient immune system is absolutely crucial to your health, happiness, and longevity. In the Immune Protection Protocol, you will receive an easy-to-follow 14-day action plan, as well as 25 delicious immunity-boosting recipes which you can start enjoying immediately after you complete the main program. This will ensure that your immune system remains as strong as steel, slashing your chances of contracting a winter cold, flu, or any other virus that can leave you bedridden and miserable for days. Imagine being able to avoid colds and flu every winter. How incredible would that be? This book retails at $57, but it's yours absolutely free when you hit the button below and order today. But wait, because I have one more fantastic bonus for you. As you probably know, the herpes virus can have a devastating impact on a person's sex life and the way you feel about yourself. But once you've freed yourself from herpes, your confidence and self-esteem will be at an all-time high. And just like Emma and I, you might want to display that confidence in the bedroom. Which is why I'm also going to send you the Sex Drive Stimulator. Inside, you will discover dozens of powerful and completely natural aphrodisiacs, including one weird ingredient clinically proven to turbocharge both the male and female sex drives, allowing you and your husband, wife, or partner to enjoy maximum satisfaction between the sheets. Again, this book retails at $37, but it's yours absolutely free today when you hit the order button below. So for the tiny, one-time only investment you see below, you get the instant access to the Herpes Blitz Protocol Fast Start Guide, which includes the 7-day Phase 1 Search Protocol, the 21-day Phase 2 Destroy Protocol, and your 2 free bonuses, the Immune Protection Protocol and the Sex Drive Stimulator. That's almost $1,100 of herpes-destroying, life-changing value, and all for less than the cost of a takeout or a trip to the movies. And don't forget, your order is fully protected by my 60-day money-back guarantee, meaning there's absolutely no risk on your part at all. So click on the button below to get instant access to the entire program in the next 90 seconds. Now, it's decision time for you, and you're at a fork in the road. The first path is to simply do nothing and ignore everything you've just seen and heard. You can choose to live with the herpes virus for the rest of your life and just put up with the embarrassment, inconvenience, pain, and stigma that comes with every breakout. Or, even worse, you can carry on wasting money on expensive, side effect-ridden drugs that don't, won't, and never will cure you of the herpes virus. Sure, you can do that. But remember, choosing to just live with the virus will not only cost you financially, it could also cost you your health by dramatically increasing your risk of Alzheimer's, blindness, and potentially fatal complications for any future children you may have. I don't want that path for you, and I'm sure you don't want it either. That's why I'd like you to take the second path, the one where you click the button below and get instant access to a quick, simple, and clinically proven way to wipe out the herpes virus permanently and in as little as 19 days without even leaving the comfort of your own home. And just imagine how that will feel. Imagine never again waking up to the sight of a disgusting cold sore on your face and the embarrassment, shame, and humiliation that comes with it. Imagine never again having to worry about when or where an outbreak might occur, or infecting another human being. Imagine how much more confident and desirable you'll feel in the bedroom when you're no longer looked upon as a carrier of a sexually transmitted disease. Imagine the relief and happiness you'll feel and the money you'll save when you're finally clear of herpes. Imagine your moment of freedom. Feels good, right? Well, you can be truly free in just a few days from now, and all you need to do is hit the button below to get started. More than 64,000 men and women from all over the world have already done exactly that, and this is your chance to join them. Like Emma and I, they no longer have to spend the rest of their lives plagued by the fear, worry, and embarrassment of herpes and how it might affect their health and future happiness. And when you click the button below, you won't either. But I need to warn you, you must act now while you still can. Because if truth be told, the cost involved in creating this program and making it public have been far higher than I ever imagined. And I've already received a number of threatening letters from major pharmaceutical companies demanding that I take this website down. So I honestly don't know how much longer I can keep this presentation going. Meaning if you click away now, there's no guarantee it will still be up when you return. So right now is decision time. What's it going to be? A healthier, happier, and more confident you? Living life in a pure, disease-free body? Or a lifetime of herpes and everything that comes with it? I know which option I'd choose, and I think you do too. To join me, Emma, and our 65,000 strong community in blitzing herpes once and for all, hit the button below and get started completely risk-free for a full 60 days. Go ahead and click the order button below, and I'll see you in the members area. Still here? No problem. If you're still a little unsure about everything you've just seen and heard, I completely understand. So if you still have a few questions, I hope that the following answers will give you all the information you need to make the right decision. How does the herpes blitz protocol work? The reason you've been unable to kill herpes until now is because the virus essentially attacks your healthy cells, takes them over, and then replicates or clones itself billions of times. This results in an outbreak on your face or genitals. But unlike most viruses, which are then located and killed by the body's immune system, the herpes virus is able to hide within the nervous system. It can then attack again at any point in the future, causing another outbreak. The herpes blitz protocol works by disrupting the virus DNA string by blocking a crucial protein it requires to kickstart transcription, the process whereby the virus takes over a host cell and then replicates itself. By blocking this protein, LSD1, the herpes virus is unmasked and forced into latency, put to sleep, and is no longer able to replicate or clone itself. Your immune system is then able to locate and kill the sleeping virus and wipe it out completely. If this natural protocol works so well, why hasn't a drug been created? Firstly, because no pharmaceutical company, or any company for that matter, can legally patent a natural product, so they can't make money from this research. In order to profit, they need to chemically alter the natural ingredients in order to create a licensable and profitable drug. Secondly, the study into how 3 natural ingredients, curcumin, quercetin, and resveratrol, could block the LSD1 protein, which the virus required to kickstart transcription, was only published in 2014. And as you've seen, it takes an average of 12 years for any drug to make it from the lab to the medicine cabinet. So you're looking at 2026 at the very earliest before any vaccine capable of actually killing the virus becomes available. As of now, the herpes drug market is worth almost $5 billion. That's a lot of money that the big pharmaceutical companies do not want to lose out on. As a result, they're doing everything in their power to keep this research buried and block any natural solution until such time that they can release a drug to the market with multi-billion-dollar profit potential. Will this work for me? Yes, absolutely. Naturally, each individual's symptoms will be slightly different, but we're all human beings and we all function the same way. This protocol has already worked for almost 65,000 people, so there's no reason why it won't work for you too. And remember, if you're still a little unsure, you can try it risk-free because your order comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to lose. How long will it take to see results? In patient trials, symptoms and healing times were dramatically reduced in all 278 volunteers, and 100% of patients were found to be free and clear of the virus within an average of just 21 days. What if I'm not able to follow the 28-day protocol? No problem. If you're too busy to follow the protocol and miss a day or two, don't worry. It may take slightly longer to destroy the herpes virus, but it will still work, providing you don't give up. Will my details be secure? Yes, I can assure you that they will be. Our ordering system benefits from state-of-the-art 128-bit SSL encrypted technology. We're talking the Fort Knox of internet security here, so your details will be 100% safe and secure. Will my order be discreet? Yes, absolutely. We understand the need for privacy, so your order will make no mention of the product name or its nature on your credit card statement. If anyone were to see it, they would have no idea what you bought. How long will the protocol be available for? To be completely honest, not much longer. Of course, I want to keep this presentation running for as long as possible and reach my goal of helping 1 million people to blitz this horrible disease once and for all. But the costs involved in creating this presentation and keeping it online have been far higher than I imagined. And because I'm not willing to charge any more for the protocol, I won't be able to continue for much longer. So I urge you to take this opportunity while you still can and order the Herpes Blitz protocol today before I'm forced to take this website down for good. Go ahead and click on the order button below and get started completely risk-free for a full 60 days. This has been Josh Parker, and I look forward to hearing your success story very soon.